Hey y'all, hi. Okay, today I am doing a first impressions review of this stunning makeup that has been released for a while, but it was not on my radar. It didn't make it into any of my new makeup hot takes surrounding the long and chaotic process of moving. Some people already know about it. I didn't. And I was on Sephora, honestly, just looking to see if there was anything that I felt I should review. I have this budget every month to spend on things to review. I was trying to decide what would be the best thing to spend it on. So I was on Sephora and I was thinking like, maybe this, maybe that. And then I saw this makeup I'd never heard of, and it was calling to me from the website, Hannah. I could not believe what my eyes were seeing. It is so beautiful. Minimalist makeup, but really high impact in terms of how it's designed, the packaging. The reviews were like glowing, the reviews on Sephora, and it's really expensive. It's like $80 per compact. So I decided to put some muscle into reviewing this. I got two compacts. I got the complexion one and the lip and cheek. And this entire video is dedicated to it with a little bit of the Refi concealer on the side, because I also got the Refi concealer and I'm going to be swatching that, comparing it to a couple other things and referencing how it's going with the Refi concealer as I go through the first impressions review of the other products in this video. So I already filmed the video. I already have the makeup on. I hadn't even opened the box when I first started, so it was all a big surprise. I filmed the entire process. I have a lot of thoughts. It's really interesting makeup, and hopefully a somewhat interesting video. If this is your first time watching me, welcome to my channel. I make videos about aesthetics and consumerism, and sometimes that just means reviewing some makeup, and that's what we're doing today. If you like it, I hope you'll subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Okay, as you can see, my skin is like this. It's like this because I just had a facial yesterday that included a peel, and it's like this because of the reason that I went to get the facial, which is that I had developed all of these little bumps under my skin on this side. I'm not totally sure what the culprit was, so I'm not even going to hypothesize right here because it could have been any number of things. But in any case, I really needed some skillful, deep, intense extractions, which she did do. I'm so grateful. I was just trying to find like a good esthetician close to my new house because I just moved, and you know, it's always kind of a shot in the dark, the perfect fit for me. So that's really great. But because it was such intense work, and because she did a bit of a peel as well to kind of expedite the healing process, we have this situation going on. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to film today, but I actually feel like we'll really be putting the products to the test because of this. Anyway, that's why it's like this. I prepped my skin with the Ilia Skin Milk, which I'm loving. That's what it looks like. Surprisingly beefy, like beefy enough to feel like a primer. I use it as a primer. It's a real hybrid skincare primer product, even though it's so liquidy and nourishing, which is really nice. So that's why my skin looks actually so glowy and healthy, even though it also looks kind of wrecked at the same time. It's because of the Ilia Skin Milk. Okay, let's dig into the products. I got this box in the mail and I brought it up here and I opened it, and then I dug in, like didn't look, and dug into it to pull out the Refi concealer because I had ordered these two Fara Homidi products for this video, and I had also ordered the Refi concealer at the same time just for general testing because so many of you wanted me to test it and I also wanted to try it. I will talk about it in this video, but I didn't even want to see the outer packaging of the Fara Homidi products because I kind of want this to be, I want the big reveal to be on camera. I have a feeling that they're really special in every single way. I'm deeply intrigued and like dedicating a whole video to them, and so I didn't want to see what was like in this box. So I got the Refi out without even looking. I've been using it and, you know, I'll tell you how it's been going. Then I put this paper on top, so I haven't even seen like what's under here. Okay, yeah. I mean, for the price, they had better be like items. You know what I mean? Not thrown in here like in a little bit of plastic wrap or something. They had better be, it's like you ordered a piece of jewelry, you know, and they are like that. So far, everything is impeccable. Love the font. I cannot with this. Look at the other one. Blue. Okay, and it's heavy. Like I could build muscle like lifting it. Okay, so this is the Face Illuminator and Corrector Compact, and this is the Lip Compact. For some reason, I didn't realize it was going to be blue. So here we have the lip matte. It's like a lip plush, sort of like a powder, like cream to powder, lip color, and the lip primer or the lip balm. And then here's the complexion product and the illuminator. My greatest concern is for the color of the complexion product. I mean, I just fear that it's not going to be the very pale olive for which I always seek. If it isn't, I'll correct with other products. But it looks like it's something I can work with. At least it's light enough for me to work with it. Sometimes I get the lightest shade in something, I swatch it, it's like dark peach or dark orange on my hand, and that's not the case here. The lip color also looks like it might be a little orange, like it might lean a little bit rusty. It'll be interesting to see how that looks on the lips. When I was starting, I was like, do I have everything? I have a glass of water. I have my phone in case I need to look something up. I have my other makeup in case I need to color correct. But here I am with my same old tissue paper. So first impressions, unboxing, swatching, the textures are exciting. Nothing has alarmed me. I cannot wait to put this stuff on my face. The packaging is unbelievable. I mean, it's exciting to be excited by something, you know, when there's so much makeup everywhere. It's just exciting to be excited by something. This is really, really special, especially if you are a genuine makeup minimalist and you just want one or two things and you're just going to use them until they're used up and then get something else. I mean, it couldn't be better. And really, I feel like we are facing a question of color. Like that is, I mean, of course, formula and texture as well, but we're facing a question of color. So let us look at three things. The Rose Ink Concealer in the shade LX010, which is a really close match for my skin tone. Super neutral, almost has a tinge of green in it or like a grayish green. It's a really good actual pale olive, very thick, very full coverage, but extremely skin-like and dewy, a great concealer. The new Refi Concealer in the shade 01, which so far I have learned is extremely light in color, much paler than the lightest Rose Ink. Neutral, but leans a little bit yellow, but it's also really thin. Has good pigment, but applies in a more sheer layer, more naturally, and is extremely illuminating. A really beautiful finish. And then last up is the Fara Homidi Essential Face Compact Smooth Veil Soft Matte in the shade Silvette, which is the lightest shade. And of course, that I haven't tried until today. And it's looking like it's not darker than the Rose Ink Concealer, which is great. The Refi Concealer is, I mean, shockingly light. It's just really, really pale. I wonder if there's another one, a darker one, that would be a better fit for me, which is shocking. So the Fara Homidi, which is here on the end, it's not darker than the Rose Ink, but it is a little bit peachier. It doesn't have quite that gray-green neutrality. I would love to see a shade from Fara Homidi that's a shade lighter, just a touch lighter, and has that peach taken out of it and is a little bit grayer, a little bit greener. But this is something with which I think that I can work. So let's test it out. I didn't get the Fara Homidi brushes. They looked beautiful, but they're really expensive. And this is incredibly expensive makeup to begin with. It would have added like an extra $100 to the order to get the brushes. And I would rather use that $100 to review something else, like the Refi Concealer and a couple other things, for example. And also I have these Refer brushes that I haven't tried yet, and some of them are complexion. Yeah, look at these beefy, flat. Oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Oh yeah, this is like my dream complexion brush. So this is the B01 and the B02. And to me, this is like the larger one you use to apply and buff out products over a large area, and the smaller one you use to kind of layer on and conceal. So I'm gonna start with the B02. I think this is pretty similar to the one that Fara Homidi made to go with this product. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay. I'm just gonna put it on this side of my face. Wow, okay, first impressions. First putting it on, my first thought was, it feels lightweight and silky, and it feels like it'll never dry. So I'm very curious to know what it's going to be like after I give it like a couple of minutes to set. It feels feather light. It doesn't have the kind of heaviness of cream products that are usually in this format. So that's very exciting. And my second thought as I continue to put it on was, wow, I cannot believe the coverage that I got on that blemish that is essentially a scab. I mean, it's like dark, healing spot right there. You can still see it, but it's been covered to my satisfaction as somebody who's not trying to have perfect, even skin all of the time, but just trying to kind of balance out the redness and have a healthier looking complexion, even though there are visible imperfections there, because that's what a normal healthy complexion looks like. So that's what I'm going for. I thought I was going to have to go in with a second layer, maybe a third layer, spot concealing layer. I could still do that to make it a little bit more perfected, but for me, for daily wear, just one layer is more than enough. I mean, it's enough. It's not more than enough, like it's too much. It's plenty. Just one layer, it would work, which I didn't expect that from this. I'm leaning back a little bit because I feel like our lights might be a little bright or our exposure might be a little high right now. We're still working out the kinks in the new space. Honestly, even the color, it's working well enough with my neck. It just looks so natural. Rather than going straight into the other side, I'm going to go in with a small rougher brush, the B01, and try to get even better coverage on a couple of these spots. So there's like this little red spot under my nose here. There's this spot right here. A little bit of unevenness showing through right there because it was pretty intense. And then there's like this little spot under my brow. I'm just gonna see how well it layers. Okay, wow. I am surprised by the level of pigment because I watched a couple of little, I don't know, it's like talks or something. I watched a couple of little TikToks of Fara Homidi talking about this makeup, or maybe it was just one. I did thorough research. I watched one TikTok. I watched her talking about it, and I think I maybe read something about, I did. I read an article, like a write-up of her and this makeup that talked about the fact that she comes from like runway makeup and I think worked for other big brands for a while, but is into makeup that looks like skin that looks like real skin. I mean, that's her passion. It's also my passion. But I was expecting it to be kind of a sheer cream because of that. And it isn't. It reminds me kind of the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, but more skin-like in the finish. So what I've been trying to say in this clunky way is that there's just more pigment than I expected it. It's more effective at covering imperfections and evening out the tone of the skin than I was expecting it to be based on what I had read and what I had seen on Sephora and all of that, which is great for me because I like things to have a high level of pigment so I can really take care of that redness and don't have to keep layering and layering and layering and building up like an awkward thickness of product in order to get the coverage I want. I want to be able to just put a little bit of a thin layer of product to keep my skin looking more skin-like, more natural, but to get the coverage that I need with it. So I need there to be more pigment. And this looks like it's doing that, and my skin really looks like itself. Like it really looks the same as the other side, just that the color has been corrected. So that's really exciting. I'm gonna get the other side caught up. I think time will tell with this product because with cream products like this, sometimes it's later in the day, starts to look a little cakey. That can sometimes happen. And then there's also the question of transfer and how well it has set down. I'm gonna get the other side caught up, and then we'll come back to this side and explore how well it has set down. Wow, a really unexpectedly efficacious product. I think if you've been interested in this, if it's in your wheelhouse, if it's in your budget, and you've just been like, is it worth checking out? Like, is it worth maybe trying it? I feel like it is kind of worth it. I mean, there are 3 other products to try in these 2 compacts, but I think this is kind of the heavy hitter, you know? And yeah, it's really well formulated. So these are the 3 swatches, and all 3 of them were pretty thick. I think applying it to the actual face, I would have sheared out any one of these, but this will give us an idea of how they're setting. Well, that wasn't really a good experiment. All 3 of them are creamy enough to still, if they're applied in a thick layer and given time to set, to still be moved a little bit like this, you know, 5 to 10 minutes later. But it feels, I can just tell you that it feels like the rose ink is the one that's the gummiest, meaning it's like the furthest along and seems like it's going to set down to be the sturdiest. I know that that concealer stays a little bit emollient, just a little bit. The Refi is the one that's shearing out the sheerest, which is good for me because it's got that very light color. Too light for me, actually, I think. And then the Fara Homidi, yeah, it's only transferring a little bit. So sturdier than, for example, the Lisa Eldridge. That was leaving like a huge dent straight through and transferring a big swatch of color onto my finger like 30 minutes later. This is a little bit more, the pigment itself has become one with the skin a little bit more, although I feel as though it's not going to be bulletproof, but you know, it passes the hair test. Yeah, it passes the hair test. So I tried to stick my hair to it and it didn't stick, which is more than you can say for a lot of cream products and compacts. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about my developing relationship with this. I think I'm going to really enjoy using it. I do wish the color were a little less peach. It's okay, you know what I mean? It's natural on me, but it's like not gonna cancel that redness the way that I like and kind of give me that, you know, when you have a really good color match that really sits right with the skin on your body and with your coloring, there's sort of just this rightness, like this kind of glow. It's not gonna give me that, but it's going to take care of a lot of what I want to take care of. If I mixed it with a little green color corrector, it probably would. Let's look at the illuminator, which I feel, gosh, I'm really making a mess out of it because of trying to show you. It feels really melty and Vaseline-y, and I fear that it will be one of those things that doesn't set. Okay, actually, what's happening is that it's thinning out quite a lot. I think based on the small size of the compact and based on how the products are both applying to my face, I think I might be using too much of each one of them. I think my impulse is to like use a lot to get a lot of coverage or to get a sense of the texture. And I think that they are actually designed to be used quite sparingly and to be very effective like that. Because this product feels like this illuminating balm. It feels like a little bit goes a very long way, and a very thin layer gives the shine that one would want. And then with the thin layer, it's going to be less sticky and it's going to be sturdier. Maybe not so non-sticky and sturdy that I would wear it with like my hair down and flying all over the place. Yeah, it's doing that thing where it's passing the hair test because my hair's not like sticking to it and staying, but it's because it's got that layer of sort of jelly gloss that like repels things to stick to it. It's not because it's dried down. So it's workable. I like products like that. I'm not obsessed with that, but it's workable. It's a nice companion to the other product. And I think that the key with this is using just the tiniest amount. Like on a no makeup day, a really sheer wash of the complexion product with a brush like the one that I used. The Refer brushes, by the way, worked beautifully with this stuff. Like really, really feels like a match made in heaven. So a sheer wash of the complexion product, maybe a tiny bit of spot concealing with the complexion product with finger, and then the barest whisper of the illuminator on the cheeks and eyes. And I think that is a really beautiful look, relatively sturdy, easy, impossible to mess up, etc. So I appreciate it. I can see why it's formulated the way that it's formulated, the illuminator. I like the glossy look, but it's the complexion product that really surprised me and blew me away from that compact. Let's take a look at the lip. So the balm is supposed to be a priming lip balm. It's really hard in the pan, which is actually nice. A little bit coconutty. It's nice because it's not becoming a goopy mess and getting all over the place like the other one did, which was kind of my fault, actually. The highlighter in the other compact. My lips are really dry, I think because of all the treatment. And I think I have some of the complexion product on them that's like getting caught in some dry patches. So I'm going to try to get that off. Okay, they're slightly better exfoliated than they were before. And this priming balm is really thin. I'm being kind of aggressive with it because I'm trying to get... These compacts are refillable, which is great, but it just flew out. I'm being kind of aggressive with it because I'm trying to get enough product to like feel the texture. I'm digging in because I'm reviewing it, you know? And what's happening is it's like starting to crack and push around, which is, I mean, it's not ideal because I'm like messing it up, but it is good for you to be able to see what the texture is like. It's not the kind of thing that easily works up into a paste. Instead, it's more like you slide your finger over and you get a thin layer, a thin melty layer transferring to your finger. So it's much more like a thin priming layer than it is like a lip mask. And I think that my mistake here is I was like digging in, trying to get it to be more mask-like. Because you know me, I like a thick layer of nourishing lip product. And I just don't think that that's what it's designed to do. And that might be because you're supposed to be putting this other thing on top of it. So I worked, it was an uphill battle, but I like worked up a bunch of it and got like a thick-ish layer on. And it does feel nice, but I think that that's not how it's supposed to be to apply the other thing on top. So I'm actually going to blot it off a little bit. And yeah, my lips feel nourished and like they might be ready to accept another product. I hope that I didn't put so much of that stuff on that they won't take well to the application of something else. So this reminds me a lot. Actually, no, I was going to say it reminds me a lot of the the Rouge lip powder quad, but it actually feels more like it has more bite than that. It's like a little bit more lipsticky than that, than those like really powdery cream products. It's more lipsticky than that, but it's kind of like that in the compact. It's a good frame of reference, and I can let you know that it seems like it's going to be like that, but it actually feels creamier. Okay, it's really pretty. It's not orange as I had feared. This is the shade Nude 2. It's the darker of the two nudes. I felt Nude 1, I think that the other one's called Nude 1. I felt it would be too pink for me. And this one looked a little tawnier, a little bit more brown. It is a great color. It can clearly be built up to be much darker than this. There it is blotted. So it can clearly be built up to be much darker, but in a thin blotted application, it can also work for me without being too vampy, which is exactly what I was hoping. And with the primer underneath, it has this lovely dual quality, which is that it feels feels nourishing, but it also feels really sturdy. And it looks like it's on the matte side, but it doesn't look weird. So many matte products these days have that sort of slidey silicone-y feel that it's like a little fingernail will just scrape them right off down to bare skin. And this feels like the color has really set in, like really sunk in, and it has a slightly matte finish, like slightly powdery, but it feels really nourishing. So it solved that issue of like making it look matte, but without being slippy, slidey, and weird, but without feeling super dry and crusty. And I like that. I think that the combination of products here, it's more successful than I thought that it would be when I was just starting with the primer and sort of struggling to understand that formula. Now that I've put the whole thing on, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what she was doing. I do think that this, oh, I meant to say about the other one, the brush is definitely the right delivery mechanism for the complexion product. I think for spot concealing, a finger worked beautifully as well. And you could probably do it just with your fingers, but I think it's designed to be used with a brush and it worked beautifully with a brush. I can't imagine it going better with like a sponge or just with my hands. And I also think that a brush would probably have served me well with this product. There isn't one in this little box of Rephr brushes that's perfect for lips. There's a really tiny brush here, the 23, but like it would be good for lining and maybe filling in a little bit, but there isn't like a flat paddle brush in this box and I just don't have anything else up here. But I'm gonna try to find a brush that I can use as a dedicated lip brush for this product because I think that that would make it even better. The only potential inconvenience I could see with this is that taking it on the go, like throwing it in a bag, which is what these make me want to do with them. They make me want to just use them. Have them live right on my vanity, always take them with me, throw them in my handbag, have them be these kind of like core essential products in my routine and in my life because they're so luxurious and they're so effective at the same time. And they're so expensive. It's like you want to be using it almost every day if you spend this amount on something. So they do make me want to do that. They deliver the goods that makes that possible, I think. But then when it comes to the lip product, there's the one potential inconvenience, which is that the pigmented part is so pigmented that if you use your finger to apply it, you really do need something to wipe your hand on, like, and maybe even wash your hand. Like just, you need a napkin or you need to go wash your hands. That's a little bit inconvenient when you're on the go. You know, if you're like on the bus or on the train or something and you don't happen to have anything on you and you're trying to reapply your product, well, this is like putting on a full-on pigmented lipstick with your finger and then you've got lipstick on your finger. So you either need something to wipe or wash your hand off on, or you need to use a brush, but then if you use a brush, then it's got product on it. And if you're on the go, then where do you put that? Like you have to wipe it off at least some to put it back in your bag, or it's got to have a cap or something like that. So it's a little bit less convenient than a lip product that has its own cap, but I understand that it's all in the name of having it be in this beautiful compact and it's very covetable and it's very special. And I'm not mad at it. It's just as a reviewer going through these first impressions, thinking it through, I'm blown away. I'm really excited about them. And I'm thinking ahead and thinking about use, value, and practicality. And that's the one issue that I could potentially see arising. I think that this is a lip and cheek. So I'm going to try it on my cheeks as well. And for that, I kind of do want to use a brush. Although this is more of a powder brush. I just don't really have anything. Almost everything is still packed, y'all. Like that's the life I'm living. Almost everything is still packed. Okay, I'm just going to use my fingers. Oh yeah, it's pigmented. Oh no, too much, too much. I feel it's a little too much. So I'm going in with this dry brush that I just opened with nothing on it. Okay, well that's great. And it blended beautifully with the illuminating product. Final thoughts. These are undeniably stunning, well-designed products. And I'm really delighted to have tried them. They absolutely delivered on everything that I sort of hoped when I came across them. And I was really excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to review these on YouTube. I have two concerns. One is whether or not the complexion product will feel heavy on my skin by the end of the day. I have hopes that it won't because it felt so feather light when I was first applying it. So my hope is that it'll kind of become one with the skin, become dewy. And my fear is that it'll have that kind of heaviness and settle into the lines that cream products sometimes do. So the jury's still out on that. I just want to mention it because I won't know whether it does that until I've tested it out a little more. I'll come back. I actually think I'm overdue for one of those review roundups roundup video, so I'll come back soon and let you know. I just know that products like this can sometimes kind of settle into lines and pores as the day goes on. And if I know by the time this video posts, if I pay enough attention and I have something else to say, I'll put it in a pinned comment, so you can check that. So that's my one concern in terms of formula. And then the other concern is practicality, like ease of use. As I was just discussing, on the go, the luxuriousness comes along with a little bit of a finicky quality, just in terms of the way one interacts with the products. And for me, sometimes it's really worth it. Sometimes the luxuriousness of packaging and the really spot-on formulas make a little bit of finickiness no big deal, and it makes it worth it for me to use a product. And I think that if anything has a shot at having its formulas and its luxuriousness override the finicky aspects, this does. I could see myself really getting into using them and just getting used to the way that they work and not minding. But I also am sensitive to finickiness. I don't like when things are finicky. I like things to be really easy to use, really just as few barriers as possible between me starting to use the makeup and me having a finished product, as few logistical barriers as possible. And so it might be that the barriers that these throw up, those like little tiny barriers of use, will actually inhibit me from using them, and I'll start to default to my old standards instead of continuing to use these. And that's another thing that I can report back about. The lip product, as I continue to wear it, becomes more and more kind of set on my face, sturdier and sturdier, and more impressive because of that. And yeah, the complexion product, it's starting to like settle a little bit in the lines of my nose. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The Refi concealer, I said that I would mention it, and so I will do so now. But I kind of feel like the things I said throughout the video all add up to all of the information that I have so far, which is that the color is very bright and slightly yellow. The formula is very thin, but in a good way. And the finish is extremely illuminated and beautiful. And I just feel like I'm not totally sure, maybe because I think the color might be too light for me and too yellow. I'm not totally sure yet how it's going to play out. So that's like kind of a first impressions level report on the Refi concealer, because I'm still testing it, and I definitely will come back in a future video with really thorough and complete thoughts. I might actually need to get another color in order to really test it correctly and let you know how it's going. That's everything I've got for you today. Thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate you, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. I think we got it.